clouds today with a high of 65 degrees. Clouds overnight with a low of 47. Beautiful day tomorrow. Sunny and a high of 79. Even warmer on Friday. West Ranch High School Theater Arts presents the musical Zombie Prom. Tonight, May 2nd through Friday, May 4th at West Ranch High School. For more information, visit westranchtheater.com.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio.
On your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, we have Dr. Hans Schulhammer of City of Hope.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, good morning, everybody.
I got it right, didn't
Yes,
I?
absolutely. Yep, Hans Schulhammer.
And his sidekick, Mandy.
Hey, glad to be back again.
Yes,
guys. Thank
yes, you're a very familiar face around here.
you. I like it.
Yay.
I think it's wonderful. And what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, so May is now Skin Cancer Awareness Month. So I did want to talk about skin cancers. Certainly, one of the risk factors of many for skin cancers is simply aging. So certainly, this is something that that can affect many seniors. Particularly, one of my interests is a type of skin cancer called melanoma. So wanted to talk about that, but talk about skin cancers and skin cancer awareness a little bit, prevention, detection, what to do, topics like that. But then also general cancer questions, if possible, or things like that.
Okay, but before we get started, how did you become involved in this particular line?
Sure. So so going way back, my grandfather was a surgeon, so he was one of my heroes growing
Right.
up.
Was that in California or Arizona?
It was in California.
was
Yep.
in California.
So he practiced quite a long time ago, but one of my heroes growing up. In undergrad, I was also interested in, I guess, molecular and cell biology, with a focus in immunology, and began to get kind of interested in how our immune system interacts with cancer. And went to medical school in Philadelphia. Knew that I wanted to go into surgery, and then specifically go into surgical oncology, cancer surgery. Did some research years in the lab doing melanoma research. And that's kind of my basic journey. So
That's your base. Well,
and
that's
then
quite a
did
journey.
a cancer surgery specialty training at City of Hope, and then stayed on in the system.
Wow, that's quite a journey. You
It's a long time.
You don't look old enough to have done that much.
It's all in there.
So melanoma is, when we have different cancers, and skin cancers for the most part are the most benign. Squamous cell, basal cells, and, usually they don't extend themselves much further than the skin, but melanoma of all the cancers is probably one of the worst cancers that one can get, and a contributing factor certainly is that we live in the Golden State, California, the Golden State being for the sunshine that we have here, and exposure for sure to the sun and its radiant effects can contribute to melanomas. So for our seniors, as they age, they develop barnacles and things start to grow on their skin, but they're not always sure what a melanoma might look like, what the warning signs and symptoms one might have when they're dealing with melanomas. So what's the first thing when you're looking at a barnacle and you're thinking, hey, this is okay? What's one of the first things that, Hans, that you kind of say, be careful of if you're evaluating your skin?
Sure, absolutely. And Dr. Dorio is exactly right. UV exposure is one of the risk factors for melanoma. Things to look for. So there is a mnemonic that goes by just A, B, C, D, E. Each of these letters stands for something potentially suspicious in the skin. So A for asymmetry. So any pigmented mole, any dark mole that's starting to look asymmetric. B, for the borders of it, borders that are rough or ragged, not looking completely smooth or round. C, for color, any sort of abnormal colors, even red or blue pigmented colors. So abnormal colors can be a tip-off. D, for the diameter of it, and usually I tell people, although moles can be quite large and can be benign, but anything that's growing or changing that's bigger than, say, the diameter of a pencil eraser potentially can be worrisome. And then lastly, E, for things that are evolving, things that are changing. So any mole that's growing, changing, potentially causing symptoms like itching or bleeding or oozing, the ABCDEs are potentially the warning signs, not necessarily a melanoma, but something that should be further evaluated and checked.
And the hard part is sometimes you can look in the mirror and you can see some of these changes, but there are some parts of the body that you just can't see that well. So you should be examining. You can get a hand mirror and look in the mirror to look at another mirror, and you can look at your back or look at the back of your legs with a mirror. Or just have somebody check you over if you have somebody around to be able to do that.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So keeping careful eye on your skin, at least once a month, just using a mirror to try to check all of the surfaces of the skin. Obviously, a primary care doctor is also vitally important to keep an eye on the skin and keep a close watch. Certainly for people that have had quite a bit of sun exposure in the past, and even blistering sunburns decades earlier in life as teenager can be risk factors for skin cancers and or melanoma developing.
Oh my goodness, that takes me back a long way.
Yeah, well,
getting sunburn and skin blisters for being on the beach when you're a teenager.
That is one of the issues. Yeah, I mean, so there's a large segment of the population that grew up potentially not wearing sunscreen just because it wasn't as prevalent, who potentially had quite a number of blistering sunburns at the beach as a teenager that then decades later, these are risk factors for something developing. Not saying that it will develop, but risk factors for something developing.
And those who are fair-skinned, who have light hair, have a higher tendency to start having problems, and their awareness should be heightened to just assure that if something develops, that you act on it immediately. See your primary care doctor, possible referral, and after a while, once you go in and see your doctor can say, "Oh, that looks good," and explain the same things that you've just explained, so that you'll become a little bit more aware of things that are abnormal that you can then point out at a later time if they start to develop.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Dorio is exactly right. Fairer skin and burning easily rather than tanning certainly is another one of the risk factors for melanoma, and getting connected to your primary care doctor for monitoring and reassurance. These are all really important things.
And let's talk about a little bit, our seniors are listening and they're going, gee whiz, if I have cancer, I don't care anymore. I'm done. But there are, the toughest one of the toughest to deal with is skin cancer and melanoma. But you really, don't want to give up the idea that, you're done. There are things that you can do, especially early. If you can find things early in the growth of a lesion that is a melanoma, you have a better chance of even surviving. So when somebody comes in and let's say biopsy is taken and they then have to have treatment, there are certain things that we do automatically in terms of when a diagnosis of melanoma is made, what we then do. Can we go through some of that for our seniors who are listening to, allay their fears a little bit about that process that they might be going through?
Sure, absolutely. And just to take a step back, a diagnosis of melanoma, while potentially serious, it is treatable without violating any confidentiality. I will say that I had a 90-year-old gentleman with 3 separate melanomas on him, treated very successfully just a couple weeks ago. Once a biopsy has been made, either by the primary care physician or dermatologist, the next steps in part depend on how deeply the melanoma has been growing into the skin. And the biopsy tells how deep it's growing. For things that are relatively superficial, less than a millimeter deep, surgery just to widely remove that part of the skin may be all that's needed. For melanoma that's starting to grow into the skin at least a millimeter or more, there is the chance that melanoma can then also spread into the lymph nodes that are nearby. So at the time of surgery then, for patients who on exam don't appear to have any enlarged lymph nodes, we would widely remove the melanoma, but then also basically biopsy the lymph nodes at the time of surgery to make sure that there's no melanoma cells that had moved into them. But melanoma surgery, even in older adults, is in general really well tolerated. And for early stage melanoma, meaning it hasn't moved into the lymph nodes, it hasn't moved anywhere else in the body, it's just in the skin, survival rates can be really quite high, especially for very thin melanomas less than a millimeter deep, high 90 percentiles. So certainly very treatable when it's early.
It was detected
and
early.
detected early. Yep. So going back to the importance of getting plugged into a good primary care physician, and vigilantly watching your skin.
Wow. Well, this thing here used to be much bigger, and I had part of it taken off.
On your face.
Yeah, but now it's beginning to grow again. So I'm going to have to go in and have it taken off. But it wasn't cancerous. They did a biopsy on it.
And that's a good
Dr.
question, though. How often do we have a lesion and we do a biopsy and it's not cancerous and we think, oh, we're okay? How often is it that we have to, it could potentially then evolve into a cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think for things that are suspicious, potentially even every 3 months, getting something checked. Certainly if something is evolving again, or changing in size, growing, potentially repeat biopsy just to confirm that it's benign, that there's
Just to
nothing
be on
there.
the safe side.
Just to be on the safe
Yeah.
side. Again, not all things that are on the skin that are pigmented, and not necessarily even all things that are growing are melanoma. But if there's any of those A, B, C, D, E warning signs, again, that doesn't mean melanoma, but it does mean something that should be at least biopsied or further checked out, just to ensure it. So every 3 months is reasonable. Once everything is completely all stable with the skin, it may be reasonable just to do a once a year full body skin examination with primary care provider or dermatologist or something of that nature.
Interesting. Very interesting. My goodness. Now, when you say lymph nodes, does that have anything to do with lymphoma?
Well, so sure, it potentially, although lymphoma is a separate disease, lymphoma is cancer of the lymph nodes themselves. Certain cancers in the human body, and melanoma is one of them, if they're going to start to move, they may start to move first into the nearby lymph nodes. So it is not it's not lymphoma itself, but it's melanoma cells that have now moved through the lymphatic channels, the very fine tissue channels in our dermis, just underneath the skin, and melanoma cells that have then spread into the lymph node, and then potentially from there could spread further as well, but separate from lymphoma.
Okay, 'cause that's what I had when I was 75. That's 6 years ago now.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
From
almost
the
7.
methotrexate.
Well,
that
you
she
look
was
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
You made it through.
But it was very startling because for my arthritis, I was taking 1 shot of methotrexate a week for 6 years, and then they stopped making it
Wow.
for about 4 months.
My goodness.
And so I wasn't on it anymore. And then I started getting indigestion and I never get indigestion. And I went to the doctor to find out what was going on, because I know my body quite well.
Sure.
I've learned over the years, what's wrong with me or what could potentially be wrong. So when I went to the doctor, he told me that you have lymphoma.
Wow, my goodness.
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Just like that.
Yeah. And it was bordering on 4th stage. It was that far along.
Mm-hmm.
And had I not had that indigestion pain, I would never have known it.
Wow.
And it's amazing what the body does to itself to alert you. Wait a minute, something's not right here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it pays to know your body.
Listen to your body.
Yes,
Like the symptoms that
listen to
it might
absolutely
evolve from it.
That's right. Well,
Yep.
see, that's why I'm a little more concerned now, because this thing has started to grow again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Now
so
it wasn't cancerous before because we had it diagnosed, but could it be now? It doesn't seem to fit any of those.
Yeah.
But
I
you
think
never know.
repeat biopsy is always reasonable when something's growing, and it can be even just like a 1 or 2 millimeter, very tiny punch biopsy, just to get some of the tissue to allow it to get checked, to then know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But-
that's what I plan to do.
And just to let our listeners know that there is no predilection toward age or gender on this. In terms of melanoma, people at different ages can get this problem. So just because this is the senior hour, we're not talking just about those who are over 65 and on Medicare. We're talking about people who could be younger, and you have to be aware. Mm-hmm. There's an ongoing problem in the news in the past week about clusters of melanoma for people who graduated from Auburn University in the South. And they had them on the news last night. There were 4 women who have melanoma in the eye.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So four of them.
completely different type, something called uveal melanoma.
Uveal melanoma.
Which,
and is that a primary? Does it start there, or does it metastasize there, or do we, know anything about this whole situation?
It does. Yeah, no, I was.
This is evolving for all of us in medicine, because there's a cluster, they said on the news, at Auburn, which is in Georgia? I
believe so.
And then South Carolina, there was another cluster of like 18 others there, and there were like 30-something I think, at Auburn. So, and they're all women, and it's in their eye, and you have to sit back and go, what is the causative problem? Auburn, A-U-B-U-R-N, burn. Maybe I don't think the name of the school has anything to do with it, but it's just unusual that something like this is going on in our society. We're able to point it out, but like that E. coli problem with the lettuce, right? They said don't eat lettuce.
Yeah.
And
A
then
specific kind of lettuce.
And then they said don't eat romaine lettuce. And then they said don't eat lettuce that comes from the Southwest United States. And then they said don't eat lettuce that comes from Arizona. And then they said don't eat lettuce that comes from Yuma. They were able to point it in a direction for the public as they did this investigation. And I think for the melanomas at Auburn and the other places, this is an odd thing to happen for people to have. And these clusters are, I think we will figure it out like we did with E. coli and lettuce. But, this is very strange. And, I don't even know what their symptoms are. But one person was obviously blind in her left eye. You could see on TV that her left pupil was fully dilated. So I don't think she was enucleated, but she was fully dilated pupil. So, but in their eye and melanoma, that's very odd.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I need to educate myself and look into this further. Uveal melanoma is primary melanoma that starts in the eye. It's a very rare type of melanoma, quite uncommon. unfortunately, can be aggressive. It likes to move into the liver directly, unfortunately. So it doesn't necessarily behave like cutaneous, meaning skin melanoma. But that's very odd to see clusters of this all in the same geographic area. Certainly, more investigation definitely needs to be done to see is there something environmental, chemical, or something else, or something that everybody got exposed to,
or something in the air.
Very odd. I agree with Dr. Dorio.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But, people live in strange places, and the atmosphere around them is sometimes filled with all kinds of chemicals, and the people are not aware of it. So, I guess maybe she got some pollen or something, or they did.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. It's a puzzle.
Certainly, further work needs to be done
Yeah,
to check that out. I agree.
I would think that, especially when you have clusters of people having the same problem, something's going on somewhere.
Yeah.
In
I
Georgia,
agree.
South Carolina, hopefully in North Carolina, because I'm going there next month.
Wear some sunglasses.
I'll be going up for my 64th high school reunion.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Congratulations. That is fantastic.
64th high school reunion.
I like it.
It's wonderful, wonderful. And I think we need to take a break, don't we? We see old Evil Eye over there looking at us. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed, or just don't have the energy you used to? Did you know this could be related to decreased testosterone levels? Luckily, there's a safe, effective solution. Weeder Prime helps support healthy testosterone levels with clinically tested key ingredients. Just 2 capsules of Weeder Prime each day can help change your mood, energy, focus, body fat, and lean muscle. Feel the way you felt 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Rediscover your Prime with Weeder Prime. To find a retailer near you, visit WeederPrime.com. That's WEIDER Prime.com.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and Seafood Restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesday, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
City of Hope is a world leader in cancer research and treatment. And there's a City of Hope community practice location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer: distance to quality care. Santa Clarita benefits from City of Hope's compassionate care and renowned clinical expertise. Find out more at cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM-1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Hans Schulhammer of City of Hope.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and you obviously have a family.
Yes, absolutely.
And are they in the medical profession? Is your wife in the medical profession?
My wife is not. No, my wife is an attorney. So.
Oh, well, it kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah. So certainly, I'm very lucky. Married somebody much smarter than I am.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
But my wife is a patent attorney, and also does business and contracts and some family law as well. So she has a solo practice. So.
Oh, interesting. And do you have children?
We do, yeah. So we have boy-girl twins.
Oh my goodness!
That are nearly 4 years old. So.
Oh
okay,
my goodness!
So it's not boy, girl. It's boy, girl.
Yes, yep. Fraternal.
So you have 2 kids.
We have 2 kids.
Not 4.
Yep. No. Yes.
That would have been something.
2 sets of twins would be really quite a bit. Way too much.
And they're 4 years old.
Yep, we'll be 4 in June.
And I bet they're full of vim and vigor, aren't they?
Yep, there's never a dull moment in our house. They're like mini tornadoes, just wreaking havoc wherever they go.
But before you know it, Hans, they'll be grown up and
That's
they'll
right.
be gone. And even if you have more kids, you will look back and say it was the most wonderful time of your life.
Yep.
And I always say that going to, graduating from college and going to medical school and, becoming a doctor and doing all these things were just great, but not like being a parent, not like being a father.
Yep, absolutely. I agree 100%.
It's been the best, and there's nothing that could ever replace that. So cherish it. All the hurricanes and turmoils and everything going on in your house, cherish it because it will be, I think, a fond memory in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will say that, the hardest job that I've ever had is the daddy-father job, even compared with medicine. And there's no question that
That's right.
that is the toughest job. And yeah, definitely we cherish every single day.
Oh, yes, absolutely you cherish it.
And you learn also that when they cry, it's sometimes even cute, and that's how I always looked at it as, not something that was bothersome to me. And I learned that real fast. And now, even when I go shopping or we're in a theater or something and a baby's crying, I think it's cute.
Yep.
I don't ever think I think it's a learning experience for the parents, but for me, it's just a sound that I just think to myself, it's not a problem. It's something that's like music to my ears. So, yeah, you might have more kids, Hans, and that's great. But right now, enjoy what you have, because 20 years from now, empty nest will be there, and you go, what the heck? What the heck happened?
Yeah, I will say right now we have our hands full. So,
and we had talked about your family and that your grandfather was a physician as well, but we also, because your name is familiar, and I still don't know why, but your background is that you have musicians in your family, and my brother and I and my other brother, we all were given instruments to play, and my older brother, who's a physician, played the cello for many years, and still plays, I believe, as good as Yo-Yo Ma. And to us, that has always been a wonderful adventure for him and for us. And I played for 12 years until I, finished high school. And after that, I think college made me put the violin down. But to have done that, it really, not just the hand-eye coordination, but, just the idea that you have to be good and practice makes perfect, and, these things that you can learn, in different arenas of life, but music allowed that to happen for us 3 boys. It kept us out of trouble, but it also gave us something that we could, feel good about ourselves, that we worked on and we were able to achieve. So, but your background is one from a musical family, which is pretty neat. And I just, I know the twins are 4 years old, but still, I started at 6, so they're kind of will be at the verge. Do you think they're going to form duets, or do you expect them to be playing music? Have you and your wife talked about that? Or are you just saying let them be a doctor and let them be an attorney?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, so I think it's very important. So my wife grew up playing piano, actually really quite well. So I think we're going to probably start the kids on piano.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And,
that is wonderful.
Mom can potentially help with that.
Yes, and that's good
And then-
for eye-hand coordination and feet when you're using the pedals down below.
Yep.
Oh, I know.
Everything.
Piano is wonderful.
Like brain development.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
So I
It's
think that's
amazing.
potentially the plan.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, my parents made all of us, I and my 5 siblings. I come from a family of 6 kids. Every one of us had to play an instrument, and then my brother Mark is the one that has stuck with it, and he also is a cellist. And then I played up through high school, but then that was also kind of the end of it. College got pretty busy, and unfortunately, haven't had too much time.
Well, there's nothing like music to soothe. I mean, to me, it's like looking at a fish tank and watching the fish, because that is another area where, it helps relax you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very peaceful.
Oh, yes, and good music is too. Good piano music. I mean, I don't mean this rap stuff that flies all over the place on the piano. I mean, something beautiful, classical music.
Well,
Classical music is wonderful on the piano. Really is.
Agreed.
True, but and we think differently, because just like a baby crying, I listen to rap, and I have such great admiration for people who can put words together and put music to it, and I think how do they do that? That just seems a miracle to me. But it's something that as physicians, I think that in your specialty, you have learned, Hans, that from your music, that if you work at something and you practice it, you get better at it, and you keep learning. Here's another piece that challenges you, just like a surgery would challenge you as well. And you're then in music, you see, oh, look at this. I mean, it just looks like a whole bunch of scribble now. This looks real bad. But then you start playing it, and after a while, you've mastered it. I mean, it's the same thing with medicine. You go through your training, and you go, oh, this could be difficult surgery. But now, all of a sudden, this surgery is, you say, oh, I've done this before. This is easy. And so you learn things in music that you've now applied to medicine. And that's what I have done, treating people in internal medicine. I've seen it, and I've learned about it, and, keep my mind open for things how medicine continues to advance, so I can apply it for my patients. Do you find that maybe music prepared you for that?
I think so, in part. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm very thankful and lucky that my parents had us do all of these things, and in part there is that dexterity component and hand-eye coordination. But it's true, there really is nothing like practice and lifelong learning, and just always continuing to think about problems or complex situations and applying what you've learned to then future problems. So, I'm very thankful that my parents have me do this.
So your specialty is you're a oncologic surgeon. So you do general surgery for patients who have cancer. I mean, it's not, we're talking about melanoma, but there's also other areas that you get into. And if we were to look at it as a musical piece, what would you say, Hans, is a, when you, even though you've done it many times, a difficult surgical procedure, a difficult cancer that you look at and say, okay, this, once again, no matter what, I've done it before, but this will be a challenge?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, yeah. So as a surgical oncologist, I do more than just melanoma. One of the most challenging operations probably is pancreas surgery. So the pancreas lives a bit deep in the abdomen, more towards the back. Pancreatic cancer can be very deadly. Unfortunately, even here in 2018, the majority of pancreas cancer has already spread by the time it's diagnosed.
That's right.
But for patients that have localized cancers just in the pancreas itself and no evidence of spread, surgery potentially can offer the hope of long-term survival. But pancreas surgery is very, very challenging, very delicate. Something called a Whipple operation, which is what we do to take out cancers that are in the head of the pancreas, which removes the last part of the stomach, the head of the pancreas, the very first part of the small intestine, part of the bile duct. These are big, big surgeries, and ones that always certainly can't sleep the night before. So,
they're a challenge.
Yeah, challenging.
Yes. Well, I'm the understanding that pancreatic cancer is one of the worst you can get, as far as being potentially deadly very, very quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately that's true. Again, even here in 2018, we have many chemotherapy options for it, but chemotherapy doesn't work still optimally. For patients where it's localized just in the pancreas, surgery still allows the possibility, or gives the best chance of long-term survival.
Yeah, the better way to go.
Yeah,
but I
so
think it's
an area of intense research.
Yeah, there is. I think as a surgeon, I would understand and know that here you are operating on a patient who has pancreatic cancer, and you're trying to actually just diminish some of the symptoms that they have, but in the long term, to actually cure them, the prognosis is not good for that. And to me, that would be, that would be part of the challenge, knowing that you can only do so much, but you can't do everything. And psychologically, that would be hard on me.
Sure, that's true. But certainly at City of Hope, we try to work in a multidisciplinary way, meaning that it's not just surgery only is the answer.
Right.
Our medical oncology colleagues, our radiation oncology colleagues, our pathologists, our radiologists, we all work together as part of one big team to come up with a multidisciplinary plan to attack malignancies from many different directions. For pancreatic cancer, it is true that surgery can potentially be the one chance at longer-term survival, but that still is in conjunction with our medical oncology colleagues potentially giving chemotherapy after surgery, our radiation oncology colleagues potentially giving radiation also to the area where the tumor was, and then really intense follow-up with the whole multidisciplinary team. So we try to be very integrated at City of Hope.
And it's interesting, City of Hope. It means so much to so many, even the name of it, City of Hope. I mean, that can't get any more descriptive.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
there is always hope,
Yes.
no matter what. And that's in
Always.
part what we try to bring to our patients, not just the medical scientific side of hope, but also like the humanistic, soulful part of hope as well. We try to bring hopefully the whole package to our patients.
Just extending and extrapolating out in terms of the cancers that we have, 20 years ago, I told my colleagues here in Santa Clarita that one day with cancers, we will find the stop button, because these are multiplying genes, cells, and the genes don't have that stop button. And, I always said, we're going to find that stop button, and then we're going to cure cancer. And of course, 20 years ago, they went like, where should we what insane asylum should we put this guy in? But I have stuck to my guns, and, even the other day, 60 Minutes had a segment on CRISPR, which is CRISPR, which is a way that was developed, I believe, at MIT, but it's a way of pulling out and putting into the genetic DNA ways of yanking out material that could be causing cancer. And of course, I'm watching that, and I'm thinking to myself, and I've already read about CRISPR. We get the MIT journal, so I read about it several years ago, what they were doing there. So I knew, and when I saw this segment on 60 Minutes, I said, it's just coming to fruition that in the long run, we are going to have a cure for cancer. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and I think 20 years from now, we will have kids growing up and they'll be asking what was cancer. But right now we're in the midst of that, and I think something like malignant melanoma is going to be one of those cancers that molecular biology and genetic engineering will play a role in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that would be the holy grail. And in part, melanoma is a little bit the poster child for this. One of the holy grails of medicine is having our immune system, our own immune system, basically find cancer cells and just destroy them before they even start to turn into a problem. This new field of systemic therapy called immunotherapy, similar to chemotherapy, but basically different antibodies that help take the brakes off of our immune system to allow our immune system to attack cancer cells. One of the first malignancies that this was tested in was melanoma. There's a great deal of interplay between our immune system and melanoma potentially can suppress our immune system just a little bit to allow it to flourish. Immunotherapy, this new class of medications, which now is being applied to many, many different malignancies, but potentially can help allow our immune system to become more active, to take the brakes off our immune system, and allow our immune system to attack melanoma. Currently, immunotherapy is for just stage 3 and stage 4, so melanoma that's spread to many different parts of the body, or at least melanoma that's in the lymph nodes, so it's not used as anything preventative. But
is it as destructive as chemotherapy is? I mean, chemotherapy will kill the bad, but it also plays the dickens with everything else in your body.
Yeah, no, that absolutely.
It really does.
It's a poison.
Yeah, there's
That's
no
right.
question that chemotherapy is not benign. Immunotherapy is also not benign, but the side effects that come from immunotherapy can be different from those that come from chemotherapy. So it can cause potentially endocrine problems or some other problems. So again, not 100% benign, but yet another new tool in the toolbox to, in part, help stimulate our immune system to attack cancer cells, which that would be one of the holy grails. If our immune system could just perform surveillance and eradicate a cancer cell before it turns into anything, then we'd be all set. I would be okay being out of a job.
That's wonderful. That honestly, well, there's so much that City of Hope is doing, as far as the San Fernando Valley, Santa Clarita Valley, and aren't you up in Antelope Valley also?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, you've really begun to spread hope. And that's basically what it is. Whoever came up with City of Hope, that's amazing.
Yep.
It really is, because the connotation, if that's the right word, is hope. Yes, there is something better out there.
Absolutely. There's always hope. Well, we started over 100 years ago now in 1913, originally actually as to treat tuberculosis, to treat TB, but then morphed into a cancer center, also treating some other diseases, diabetes and HIV, a little bit of research in there. So trying to bring hope to our patients, and also trying to bring that hope to many areas of Southern California.
Wow. We need to take another break, don't we? Yes. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
It's no wonder people love Baskin-Robbins, as it's known for its 31 flavors of ice cream. From ages 1 to 99, people visit Baskin-Robbins anticipating the pleasure of enjoying their favorite ice cream, served any way they want. They also create customized cakes for any occasion. With several locations in Santa Clarita, you're sure to find America's favorite neighborhood ice cream shop near you. Visit them in Stevenson Ranch on the Old Road, on Soledad in Canyon Country, or on Lyons in Newhall.
One more day, one more time.
We've been singing their songs for decades, and now Diamond Rio brings their musical magic to the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center on Saturday, June 30th.
What a beautiful mess I'm in, spending all my time.
KHTS is proud to present Diamond Rio, 6-time Country Vocal Group of the Year, 23 top 10 hits. Experience Grammy Award winners Diamond Rio like you've never seen them before, right here in our hometown at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center.
Imagine that love lasts forever. Imagine
Country legends Diamond Rio, and featuring our one and only local singing sensation, Savannah Burrows. Savannah Burrows and Diamond Rio, together at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, Saturday, June 30th. Tickets are going fast. Visit canyonspac.com to purchase yours. canyonspac.com for Diamond Rio.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank, and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Hans Schonheimer from City of Hope. He's an oncologic surgeon, and we've, gone a full gamut of discussion today in terms of going from melanoma to twins, boy and girl, to
playing music.
but we talked about, Barbara, you alluded to City of Hope, and there is hope out there for our patients who do have cancer, and statistics are showing that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think survival for nearly all malignancies is getting better as we have more refined treatments and more refined surgeries and also multidisciplinary input, more refined chemotherapy or even immunotherapy, as we were talking about earlier, more options for treatment, more targeted radiation potentially that helps spare organs around it while giving radiation in a very targeted way just to cancer cells. As research goes forward, again, hopefully we can bring hope in a very coordinated fashion to our patients and people that need it.
When I first started in medicine, cancer, of course, even now, but then probably about a third of our patients survive. Now it's about 2/3 of our patients survive. So literally, you don't give up hope. You get hope. You get hope from the City of Hope. And, we're moving forward with CRISPR and all these studies that we're doing now, and the people who went to Auburn, we are going to figure out what happened to you and all these things that has occurred, and other things in our society as well. But you don't want to give up hope, and our seniors should not. So those listening to our show, keep your eye on your skin. Make sure that you're looking at your loved ones and yourself in the mirror, and get educated from your primary care doctor, even a dermatologist, because things are preventable, and the earlier you catch them, the better off you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's really nothing better, I would say, than prevention even. So recommend watching your skin. It's never too late to start wearing sunscreen, at least SPF 30, a broad spectrum sunscreen. The brand doesn't necessarily matter, but limiting sun exposure, limiting sun damage to the skin, daily use of sunscreen, at least SPF 30, and just kind of being vigilant. But Dr. Dorio is exactly right. There is always hope.
Hans, thanks for being on the show today. It's been
thank you so much.
Just great, super information. Yes. And your office number is here in Santa Clarita is 661-799-1999. Mandy, is that correct?
That is correct. And then Dr. Schulhammer is also in Mission Hills Clinic at our Providence Holy Cross, and that number is 818-660-4700.
Great. Thanks, you guys, for being on the show. You did bring us a lot of hope.
And
honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Keep up with the music.
Yes.
And your twins on the piano.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.